Ah, man alive. Here we go. Hi, I'm Anthony Dunn, and welcome to the Don't Lift Off podcast. Don't Lift Off will be all about hearing amazing and stupid stories from people in the UK motorsport industry and finding out about their life. There's countless stories, some of which can be told as is, and some of which the names, dates and places will no doubt have to be changed. I particularly want to find out about the 10,000 words that Ian Flux had to leave out of his excellent book For Flux's Sake, but also other stuff like, for instance, the random link between Jake and Cy Hill with Elvis, and just how Tafty managed to get his dog Bisto onto the back parcel shelf around Thruxton many moons ago. Why am I doing this? Well, in the nearly 30 years I've spent in the motorsport and car industry as a motor racing instructor, coach, driver and automotive trainer, firstly racing in two-stroke go-karts and then single-seater cars in national championships in the 1990s, and then racing sports prototypes and sports cars in the 2000s, winning a few races and championships along the way. I've had a few scrapes as well. I've also been lucky enough to meet some really interesting characters with some very diverse backgrounds, some of whom are plainly one lap short of a full Grand Prix. The aim is to be raw, honest and truthful. The first episode is with my good friend, Dangerous Brian Saunders. This was recorded a couple of months ago before I had any decent microphones or much prep at all. Brian is a Formula Asia Championship winning racing driver, performance driving instructor, ADI qualified driving consultant and one of the most respected driver coaches in the country. In his career, he's worked for most major sports car manufacturers and is also a former slot car world champion. You can find Brian at P1 Driving Dynamics on Instagram at Brian Saunders P1. I look forward to bringing you more of these in the coming weeks and months, but in the meantime, keep it pinned and don't lift off. Cheers. That'll do.
I don't know how to call it, but it's got a red light. It's official.
Yeah. It should be official, really. Thank you, all day.
We look like a couple of fucking rockers here. You with your Atari t-shirt on. Me with a Stereophonics t-shirt on.
We're 70s children.
We are. When were you born?
70.
70. So you left school, what is that, mate, 80s?
88.
88, right, so you're a couple of years. So you're 54. Are you
Yeah.
54 yet?
54 years young.
Fucking hell. Yeah, I'm 50 and
No grey hair. Done alright.
yeah. I keep trimming mine from this fucking ginger beard. Which is why my stepdaughter keeps calling me a ginger freak. Actually, as Barfi has me in my phone book as ginger prick.
Yeah, no, I had that in as well. But you've done well with the grey hair.
I'm just happy to have hair at all, let alone grey hair.
I'm not going to lose mine anytime soon.
Yeah, you're doing alright with that. Have you got baldness in the family or anything?
No. No.
Yeah, I got blessed from my mother. She and her dad, Gordon, he had thick headed hair. My brother's, yeah, goes back a little bit more. You met my brother, haven't you?
Yeah, he's a good lad.
Yeah. When did you meet my brother? Is that when you...
Well, I met him at the wedding,
Yeah.
but I've met him before, but I can't remember when.
I wonder if it was at Goodwood. He might have come along to Silverstone or something like that.
Might have done. But we met a lot of people back then.
At various times,
Yeah.
at various random locations when we were doing various random
Jobs.
jobs.
Yeah, jobs in inverted commas.
Yeah, yeah. So I've got no particular agenda on this. This is literally podcast number 1. Let's dig some fucking cameras out of the cupboard. The plan for it says "Don't lift off." Right, is the name of the It will be like a YouTube channel, something on X, something on Instagram, and it will be just talking bullshit with my mates.
It won't be bullshit, it will be constructive points of view.
I keep telling myself that, yeah.
Might be the wrong point of view,
But I won't make a habit, change habit of a lifetime.
but everyone is allowed their own point of view. Other people can say it's wrong.
We currently are in a democracy that allows that, although I fear we're gradually shifting away from that. I had quite an interesting discussion with Matt Kelly about various restrictions and governing bodies and about directions they're heading and stuff. Do you realise the MSA is it's a private limited company?
Yeah.
Or what's MS UK now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which I never knew. I thought it was. I don't know what I thought it was actually.
I don't know, I can't remember when it speared off from the RAC.
That's right. It was RAC
yeah.
MSA, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Always back in the day.
It's still in the same place.
No, it's not.
Is it not Colebrook any longer?
No, it's moved to Bicester Heritage, I believe, or Bicester somewhere. It's like it's the motorsport hub in Bicester, is my understanding. It's a new swanky HQ.
I remember going down there when I pick a licence up, very urgently, and walk in, sit in reception, allow them to change it.
Yeah.
So,
was that when you upgraded to like International C or something?
I can't exactly remember what I was doing, but it might have had something to do with that I had a French licence to do French Formula Ford, and then for some reason I needed a British licence. Too long ago.
So, let's start. So I first met you 97 at Silverstone.
Okay.
When I was junior and you were senior, and you showed me the ropes on the Stowe circuit.
Okay.
There's the wedge with the triangle, and I asked you at the time, "What have you done?" A bit Formula Ford. That was it. That's literally all you said.
Okay.
Yeah, I've done a bit Formula Ford, and changed the subject immediately. I was like, "Oh, right, okay." Anyway, let's get on with the day.
Probably never been very good at promoting myself or talking about myself.
I don't know. I've seen you talk to women in bars. I don't think that's true. Masquerading as circus performers. Remember that night?
No.
You remember that night? I think Simon Mason started that actually. What do you guys do for a living? We're circus performers. He's a fire breather, he's a juggler, and he's a trapeze artist.
Don't remember that. Too many nights out though when we were younger.
Yeah.
And amazing, I wasn't drinking at all.
Yeah.
And I still can't remember what we used to get up to, which is probably an advantage actually now.
The funnier moments usually was the morning after actually. Like, usually watching others driving on the way.
Well, it's the fact that we would go out till 2 or 3 in the morning on a regular Thursday, Friday, Saturday night and still be at work operating what we thought quite a high level on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. No, at 7:30 in the morning.
7:30, that was the time.
Yeah. And going, yeah, that was all right. And then Sunday night going out for curry and going, bit tired. Now if I went out till 2 or 3 in the morning, it'd take me about a week to recover.
Yeah. Well, that's the difference, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Just different times. And I don't think you go out till 2 or 3 in the morning now because there's not a myriad of nightclubs you can go to.
Oh, really? Is there anything... What was the nightclub you used to go to in MK? Was it Oceana? Was that Oceana?
Oceana was late on.
Right.
We used to go to... I can't remember what it was.
So you used to go to Northampton as well, didn't we?
We used to go to Northampton, go to the place in the car park. Something... An Envy. And then the Milton Keynes nightclub, it had a proper name, but we used to call it the Scabby Parrot because it had a logo of a bird above the door. But I can't remember what it was actually called.
Was that near, was it what they call the theatre district? Was that where it was near?
No, it was down the bottom. It was down at, well, it's gone now. It's where the ice rink at Morrison's now is.
Right, okay. I remember there was a bus station. That was always this shitty place,
And then
wasn't
bus
it?
station. What was the place there? Chicago's.
Chicago, was Chicago Rock Cafe?
Yeah.
Ah, yes. Pull a divorcee.
I never got in there.
Day. Oh,
So-
yeah, loved a bit of that. That's where I learnt to do my YMCA.
Legendary YMCA.
Yeah, Chicago Rock Cafe. They had one of those in Banbury as well, actually.
They
Chicago
were all
Rock.
over. They were really popular back in the day.
Did they have them in other places as well?
I think so. Yeah, they had them all around. But it's just
Whatever happened to Chicago Rock Cafe?
People don't go out now.
Sticky
So,
floors.
much easier. Well, smoking, drinking, both not socially so acceptable. Much easier to chat a bird up from your sofa using Bumble or
Bumble,
Tinder
yeah.
or Facebook or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, times change.
Yeah. So tell me where are you from originally then? Because obviously you met at Silverstone. You were living at Milton Keynes. Where are you from originally?
So I was originally from Surrey. I think at that point in '97, I was still commuting or staying at Simon Mason's or anyone else that could lend me a sofa for a night or three.
Yeah.
Because I think I moved to Milton Keynes in '98 or '99.
Okay. But you were in so kind of just.
Yeah, I was commuting up and down, so I would come up and for 2 or 3 days at a time.
So when did you first start working at Silverstone? What sort of year was that?
I came back from Asia in '96.
Yeah,
And then started working probably post Grand Prix, '96.
96. Yeah, right. And where had you been working at Brands? But where had you done?
Yeah,
any
so I
racing?
started at Brands in '89, where I looked about 12, and I was 19, and I was slightly out of my depth because I didn't really have a clue what a racing car was doing when I was driving it, let alone what other people were doing when they were driving something.
Yeah.
And then I can't stop that. I went off to do French Formula Ford, so that kind of resulted in me not doing anything by the time I got to '92. Broke my back in '90, which didn't help.
Was that the autumn?
Yeah,
Autumn
car
Park
crash. And then, so I didn't. Maybe I did the racing school in '91 down there.
The racing school, was that when it was John Falston?
Yeah, so John Falston and then later Nicola Falston ran Brands. Tony Lanfranchi, Tim Jones ran the racing school, if I remember correctly. And it was 40 people enjoying themselves while earning a wage.
Yeah.
So, and to be fair, Silverstone probably wasn't much better. We hadn't really learned to be professional by that stage.
I remember the morning briefing was held in the ops cage. Remember that with Tony, what was his name? Bald-haired, military type guy. He always used to wear like camo.
Yeah.
Camo.
Can't remember what he said.
Combats. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Though.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was there with his.
And you had
keyboard.
Jason.
Whittingham.
Yes.
Yeah, Jason is sadly no longer around.
Oh, okay. Didn't know that.
Yeah, he went on to.
He ran a pub, didn't he?
He ran the Pickled Pig in Toaster.
Okay.
Hung himself.
Oh, bless.
Yeah. He was
a good lad as well.
Yeah, he was all right. He was all right. He was a bit of an acquired taste, I thought. Because when I first met him, I couldn't really weigh him up, but I didn't realise he was a go-kart competitor. That's where his background was, in karting, and I didn't realise that's how. I think my mate, do you know Stuart Smith? You remember Stuart Smith? Blonde hair, northern. I think he's from, I'm guessing, Wakefield or something. I know he's from up north, where I live, where we're speaking from. It appears. And yeah, but he knew Jason from the karting days, I think. But yeah, no. So Jason was office.
Yeah, because Paul O'Brien ran the school from top to bottom.
Yeah. So was he running it when it must have been running it when I.
Yes.
Got there then. So I came in. It was October '97, my first day.
Okay. So no, he definitely would have been running it, and wasn't everybody's cup of tea. But if you did a good job, he'd back you to the hilt.
Yeah, I had no problem with Paul, actually, to be fair. And so when we created this Association of Performance Driving Instructors, APDI, but before we did that, there was a number of kind of issues that we got about what ARDS was or wasn't doing. And to be fair to him, I said, look, should we just go and talk in a pub? And so we met at the Green Man and sat down and talked with Paul for couple of hours or whatever, and kind of ran over issues and insurance or car liability or whatever the hell we were talking about, and I thought fair play to him to spend his own personal time to come down the pub and come and talk, and so it showed Paul in a different light, to be fair.
Now, he was very caring about the industry, but he was also a businessman.
Yeah. What he's doing himself now. He went to work for Virgin Experiences for a while. I bumped into him and Damien at Silverstone about it must have been a couple of years ago. I can't remember. I think it was a historic race.
Okay. I've not seen him 25 years probably.
Wow. Yeah.
I do think at times go, where did that 25 years go?
Yeah.
But yeah.
You feel exactly the same, just ache a little bit more, don't you?
Yeah, particularly when you take me for a run, something or I do some exercise, or you suddenly do some of those responsible things you do when you're older, like maintaining a house or whatever, and you go, oh, that aches a bit.
Yeah, it's my hip that gets me now. If I'm sat still for it, I think I need a hip.
And you don't sit still, so that's not really a problem.
That's correct. I don't sit still, generally speaking. But yeah, no, 97. That's when we first met. Kicked around, instructors at Silverstone. I suppose I'm saying this because it's a bit weird, because it's like I'm putting this because I'm going to stick it out, and I suppose on YouTube, and I suppose it's kind of a background of where we met each other and what we were doing. And
yeah, so I came senior instructor there quite quickly, mainly because they got paid more money. And
back in the day, the money, well, it was 85 quid for experiences and 75 quid for corporate saloon.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's when I started, that's what the rate I was on.
I quite quickly got myself up to the top rate.
Did you get to 3 figures?
Yeah, I think it was 105 a day back then. I seem to remember.
And no, 78 quid for corporate. 78 quid for corporate and 85 for experiences.
10% difference or something.
Or whatever it was. I just know it was 78 and 85 when we used to fax through our availability to shoes.
Oh, I remember that.
Sharon Hughes.
Yeah. So the faxes.
Fax through your availability.
Yeah, no online booking systems.
No. That was first online booking system I saw was at Rockingham.
Okay, I wasn't in the industry then, because I came out.
What were you doing? Where did you go?
I tried a real job.
Was that your art?
Yeah, that didn't go.
That lasted about 3 months. Amazing.
Yeah, I was like, no. And then I did the slot cars.
Yeah.
So the slot car business was already running in the background, and I was getting good at it. People kept asking me how to do stuff. I turned it into a niche business, which I ran out of the back bedroom once I moved to Milton Keynes.
Yeah, I remember going round in your...
The back bedroom was a bit of a hellhole if you were not involved in the in slot cars.
Slot cars, yeah.
But it was... but no, I did... No, I was selling a lot of stuff by the... No, I was mid-2000s.
Would people pay good money or pay money for buying? What did you do? You made chassis and stuff?
I was an importer for product that came in from the States or Europe or wherever.
Yeah.
And then I manufactured, I designed first of all, and then manufactured the chassis to put them in. And then I got involved in body design, so we could improve the performance of mainly my cars.
Funny.
But No, they would have benefited everybody's cars, but they didn't really have the understanding of how to get the most out of it. So where you wanted the aero balance, the lightness of the body, all of this. So
does aero make a difference in
massive
cars?
Massive.
And just for the benefit of people who think it's a scale electric track,
It is a scale electric track, because a scale electric is a slot car.
Yeah.
But a generic slot car typically runs on a metal track. A wooden track, with the same metal pickups.
Right.
But it's super smooth.
Right.
And the cars will
They used to go at crazy speed.
Yeah. So, no, the national circuit or the national track is 180 odd feet, and you can go around there in sub 4 seconds, and there's 14 turns or something.
Sub 4 seconds, 14 turns. How do your brain compute that?
Don't know really, just does. So fingers move fast.
Do you speed up and slow down on trigger?
Yeah.
And how is the trigger? Is it?
So it's a trigger,
right?
But
okay.
I have got effectively torque limiters, traction control, brake variation, so I can control, and then there's some degree of throttle map, so I can adjust that prior to the racing and then tweak bits while I was driving along, which I would do a lot.
While you're mid-race on a 4 second lap?
Yeah.
The fuck? I never actually came on.
But it was zen. It was proper zen. Now, you would get yourself into a complete concentration of following this thing round and almost be oblivious of everything else going on in the world.
Yeah.
It was great. So then the only time you ever got that, other than that, was when you had a helmet on and you were trying to qualify and put it on pole. That's complete and utter concentration.
Yeah.
And this was much cheaper. Fact is, I was getting paid.
Well, that's the key to anything involved in racing. First of all, you pay, and lots of money, usually the families, and then your own, and then you run out of money.
Yeah, so slot cars was motorsport on a much more affordable level.
Right. So it's still a competitive, so it sort of harnessed your competitive spirit.
Did that. I enjoyed the engineering side, the same as I do with real cars, so trying to get the car to do the work rather than doing the work. I would describe myself as efficient, so I'm trying to minimise the amount of work I have to do and let.
Can you also describe that as lazy?
Well, some people might describe it as lazy. I would describe it as efficient.
So you taught me a few efficiencies looking at Silverstone, actually.
So, those days where we just rattle through. So how many people did we meet during those days who were customers? And you'd meet.
Well, it was 7 runs. So an Elise experience of when I first started, we had those new Series 1 mustard yellow Elises.
Yeah.
It was like a kind of, I remember reading up about it because I'm a bloody anorak. I remember reading up about the brake compounds. It was like a semi-aluminium brake, had no ABS. Eugene had prepped it with ultra hard front springs.
Yeah.
And very soft rear dampers.
Well, the idea was to try and stop it spinning, because it was slightly less, had traction, but the downside was that it would understeer like Billy-O, and then people would lift off to get the oversteer.
And then you get that horrible roll oversteer.
Yeah, and it would just be horrific.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I wasn't in them very often. I progressed to doing the briefings by that stage, so I was trying to encourage the customers not to get used, not to put you in that scenario in the first place.
Well, I think by the time we went to like the Series 2s and the Toyota engines,
I'd gone.
Oh, had you?
Yeah, I'd already gone by that.
You see, they were quite good because they were, from what I remember, they were a more stable chassis, and they started to add ABS, and the engines would rev a little bit more, and then supercharged ones were mega because you could lob it into a slide and it had enough power to push you through the slide as well.
Right,
so
okay.
You could do some I've got some video on YouTube that they were good. I didn't realise, so I raced a Lotus for about 5 years, a Series 1, Series 2, and then ended up in a Series 3, like Lotus, least trophy I coached in and Lotus Cup UK. I didn't realise until I did, I think the Series 3, that they didn't have a rear anti-roll bar. They don't have a rear anti-roll, but I didn't realise that.
Okay, so it's fully independent rear suspension.
Yes. So no wonder you've got death-dealing oversteer. So Eugene had tried to dial it out by just putting some mega stiff front springs on it. So what they ended up doing, the clued-up engineers in the championship would engineer it out on the damper.
Yeah, you can imagine that.
So the Rob Bostons of this world, who were good engineers, they would just make it like super stable at the rear by just making it, just propping it up. Not like rock solid, but just enough so it wouldn't go into the turn in, ugh! You know, the big old, yeah. His cars were absolutely mega. I remember going through, we were in a Series 2 car and he was in a 111S which had the Rover K-Series engine in it, and we were in the
Did
111R.
111S mean it had 111 horsepower?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Well, we were in the 111R, which was the Toyota engined one. I think it was a 111R, something R, but it had a Toyota
Maybe someone
engine.
watching would be able to tell us what the 111
Yes,
means.
maybe they might do. Yeah, someone who's actually raced in the series. Oh, sorry, that's me. And but Boston came past me, so I was attempting to. This was at Spa. We did a race at Spa. I was attempting to take Overee's Rally on flat, and I couldn't make it. I turned in like bag of oversteer, like, then he fucking came past me on the outside curb about 10-15 miles an hour quicker. I was like, I'm
So
shit.
what year was that?
What year was that? I reckon that was. So when I did V2V. I reckon 2009, maybe 2010.
Oh, okay. So
Something
yeah,
like
so
that.
it's the sanitised Eau Rouge with the runoff.
Yeah, the barriers would have been pushed back at that point. It was like post Villeneuve crash.
So I remember I went there in '92 for European Formula Ford, and the second choke spring snapped or come off. I can't remember. Which basically means that when you ease out the throttle, nothing happens. It stays wide open until you come out quite a long way, and then it would slow down.
Right.
Which meant that just having some high-end throttle modulation to go up through there as you're trying to build up to go flat wasn't really happening. Sessions red flagged midway through, and I tell the engineer, and he takes the bodywork off, goes running up the pit lane. He wasn't the fittest. Came back down again, looking very red-faced.
Was that the pit lane when it was going down the hill?
Yeah, so we were in the historic pits.
Yeah.
But our garage was in the F1 pits.
Oh, so the F1 pits have been built?
So the F1 pits had just been built. So he puts his choke spring on, and so I go down through Eau Rouge, slight ease out, that'll be flat. So next time round I go flat. Wasn't quite as easy as I said. I remember coming up over the crest, and I've got my right hand wheels on the curb at the top, and my
The exit curb.
on the curb on the left as you go up over the crest.
Okay, that's good.
So I've got
that's
my
interesting.
right hand wheels on that curb.
Okay.
So that's half the car on the curb.
You turned in quite early then.
Yeah, I went in a bit early. The other half of the car is on the grass, and there's about a car width of grass before you hit the barrier. And I just remember going up, and it just, because of the convex nature of it, just dropped away, and I was just like, well, there's no point lifting now. So I just keep the foot in. But I was miles up on pole at the first split.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then got balked at Puma.
No.
Yeah. So, and people used to go on about Eau Rouge, and Radion. But for me, the corner there was Puma.
Yeah, I agree totally.
So-
Because it's blind, isn't it? You can't see
It's
it.
blind, it's downhill. In those days, there was a big curb midway through. So if you got out on the curb, you literally did the old boat. It was dragging, because it would lift all the wheels off the ground.
Oh, okay, did it?
So
it wasn't
yes.
a flat curb on
No,
it.
so you
It was
didn't
quite
have a-
flat when I got
So
to
that made it a bit tighter midway through. But it was, what a great track.
Yeah.
So, and then we had the old bus stop.
Right, proper when it was a bus stop.
And I learnt the track. So we turned up on the Thursday, and there were some guys there from the Zandvoort Racing School, and some of them were doing French Formula 4, which was the main series I was doing. And they went, "Have you been before?" "No." He said, "Oh, I'll show you around." So we were in this XR3i, and from Paul what's the corner?
I call it. So I learned it from vergers. So for me, it's Pouon, Piff Paff,
Yeah.
and which is now, I don't know what it's called, and then that's Paul Fred.
Yeah, so anyway,
I call
so
Stavolo.
Stavolo. So from Stavolo to
no name.
to the La Source hairpin,
Right.
and from La Source down to the bottom of Eau Rouge was public road.
Wow.
Then the public road went off to the left, rejoined at the top of Eau Rouge, and the public road was up to Les Comps.
That was right. So that was how if you look back on the historic races, it used to go down towards Eau Rouge, turn left, it went up into a hairpin, then come back and
yeah. So that's where the road goes, and then obviously the old original track goes straight on at Les Comps.
Yeah.
So these boys go, oh, we'll show you round. So public road, but it's not very busy public road, so we're on the racing line straight up through what we're going to use as Eau Rouge, blend into the traffic at the top, and then when I say that the track's barriered off, it's just got some cones to stop you turning. So we go round the circuit.
Game.
So no, like
She literally went round the
so I
circuit
did
as you
4 or
could turn
5 laps in an XR3i to find out where I was going.
No, fucking
And then we went into qualifying, because it would have I think it would have been a double qualifying session. So the first one where the second choke spring broke, and then the second session was wet.
right.
So
As it
and I
tends to
remember
be.
when it rained there, I was like, oh, this is a bit heavy. It'll stop soon, and it did stop just after we left,
Right.
which was a day and a half later.
It's either bright sunshine or pissing down.
I mean,
the
it was
road.
just unbelievable. I'd never seen rain like it.
Yeah. I think local knowledge makes a massive difference through there. So once when my ex Amanda was racing in historic F2, there was a guy called Christian Fischer. Do you remember Christian Fischer? He was probably been
Name
around
doesn't-
your sort of time. He did Formula 4. He was Swiss driver. 'Cause
Oh,
that's-
okay, maybe.
Amanda's sponsor was a guy called Oscar. Oh God. Oscar Christen, and he sponsored. What did I say the guy's name was again?
Fisher.
Christian. He sponsored Christian up to, I think he went up to Formula 3, and then he ended up doing a bit of Indy Lights. But anyway, Christian was in a bit of a snotter car, and he'd qualified on pole because he was fucking rapid. He was a quick kid, and I remember there was all the cars lining up, and I was there just supporting Amanda because she was racing in the Formula Atlantic in the 1600, whereas the Formula 2 cars were in the same race, but it's kind of like class A, B, C. So you got the 2 litre Formula 2s, 1600 Formula 2s, and then the Formula Atlantics.
Okay.
Which a well-pedalled Formula Atlantic would be somewhere near a 1600 Formula 2.
Okay.
But yeah, he'd qualified on pole, and all the other cars lined up, and the track is piss wet, and I mean piss wet. Rocks up, slick tyres. He literally like pulls up to the collecting area when they're about 10 seconds left to go, pulls up on slicks. I was like, that's fucking brave. That's fucking brave. So he goes out, end of the first lap, he comes around, he's 4th. I was like, fuck me, he's managed to stay on. So it's just an achievement to stay on. Second lap, he was about 10 seconds in the lead. I was like, oh, it's dry around the back then. He clearly just realised it's like, yeah, it's wet round here, and he was obviously knew that which parts of the track dry up before others. And
Yeah, the pole sitter for our event was a guy called Mark Delpierre, I think. He was a Belgian kiddie, and he was monster quick in the round there, and very good in the wet as well. So, but it was a great track because it just flowed so well.
yeah,
You just carry momentum.
yeah. First time I went there was with Club Fiorano. Remember, you did some work for Club Fiorano,
did, yeah.
didn't you, back in the day? So Peter Gethin, obviously in charge. I suppose it was for the benefit of maybe if anyone's watching doesn't know who Peter Gethin is. So 1970 Formula 1 race winner, 1970 Italian Grand Prix. I think it's still the closest ever Grand Prix finish.
Yes, yeah,
When
it's
he
a
won.
Monza race, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this is Ferrari UK's official driving club, and so I'd never been to Spa before. And Richard Atwood was our kind of one of the more experienced instructors, and showed us around the original circuit, which was really cool. And our hotel was on the original circuit.
Oh, so you were down near Stavilo somewhere?
Yeah, well, on the way. So you go up to Lecombe, and then there's a drag that goes. It kind of, like the old circuit was a left kink, and then it went down a hill, didn't it?
Yeah,
down
through a right kink. There was another left kink, and then a right kink.
Well, our hotel was on the left-hand side on that hill. I only know the circuit well because we're playing Grand Prix Legends.
So they have some very good chips sold down there.
But yeah, and then I didn't really see much of the track because that night we went out and I was wearing a Union Jack t-shirt, and Nick Padmore and Greg Caton went out with me, and we ended up doing karaoke at some fucking bar with my Union Jack t-shirt, and they were spiking. I thought, I was drinking this like local lager. Local lager's quite strong. I know Europeans lager's strong. They were spiking like double vodkas. So I've got absolutely wankered, puked up that night, puked up on the morning on the way to the circuit in our minibus. So Ray Grimes will tell you the story, but literally like missed the morning briefing, fell asleep in the morning, and then in the afternoon I did about 3 laps, and that was when the 360 was new.
Okay, I came in later than that because 360 was the car, and then there was I came in not long before 430 came out.
Oh really?
So definitely Richard Atwood was still in the team.
Yeah.
Not too sure what year that would have been. It's probably when I'm out the industry.
2002-ish, something like that. 2003 maybe.
And when I'm out the industry, I was still doing the odd manufacturer events.
Just to keep you...
People, can you come and do Fleet Show or whatever? But I gave up all of the school stuff that Silverstone, when we were doing 25 days a month.
Yeah.
I mean, it was relentless.
I remember sending through my availability, I remember doing like 25 days a month. You know, but it was the amount of work, if you compare it to how it is now, the amount of work, it was all the way through the week, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it'd be experiences, say, Friday to Monday, and then corporate days, 2 or 3 corporate days through the week. And it was just day after day after day. For me, I was valeting cars for my dad at the time, and so earning, a basic crust, but not really knowing what I wanted to do in life. Then did karting, and then moved into the single seaters, and I was like, oh, we get paid for going around a racing circuit.
Yeah,
well, it's double what I'm earning. So let me get this right: we get paid to dick around.
Well, we weren't getting paid to dick around, but there was quite a lot of dicking around.
Basically, the way that I record it is like, for the 20 years that I worked at Silverstone, I'm just occasionally do a few days there now, but for the 20 odd years, just looking for the most opportunity to dick around. What
it was horrific. No, I think...
It was how you got through the days though, wasn't it?
Well, I think that if you'd have tried to do it with, like a corporate, as in, working in an office type thing, I think you would have gone slightly mad.
Yeah.
I think we're all free spirit type characters.
Yeah.
And we were all doing something that we were, for most of us it was a stopgap job because we thought that we were going to get called by Frank Williams or Ron Dennis the following week, and and that we were going to step into somebody's shoes.
Yeah.
And it's only after a while that you realise that you're on this gravy train and it's quite hard to get out of it.
Yeah, yeah. To be fair, some of us did.
Absolutely.
Andy Prio.
Yeah,
did
Prio.
a job.
Yeah, absolutely. Blinding job. Teamed up with Johnny Pratt.
Yeah.
And the
Pratty, freaking hell, man. I've got to chat with Pratt. He said he would do it actually. He was mega funny guy. Are you ever race against Pratty? So how long did you know Pratty? Is that since you started?
No, I only met him at Silverstone. So he, the guys, him, Anthony Reid, trying to think who else was there. Plates was there a bit. When I first started, it was Rob Murphy.
Rob Murphy, yeah.
Who was in charge of the show. There'd be a whole load of others, but I just can't remember who they are. I mean, obviously, all the guys that we...
Darren Manning.
Guy Smith, Darren Turner.
Peter Dumbrick. Pete Dumbrick, yeah.
I remember doing...
Dasser.
No. racing with the customers, and we're going, I think it's Peugeot 306s. Pretty certain it's Peugeot.
Was this around Perimeter Road? Or
No,
was
this
actually on the
is
circuit?
customers driving, and we're going down Hanger Straight, and we're in the tow of, I think, Guy Smith, who's in the tow of Peter or Darren, one of the two, I can't remember. I'm pretty certain it was Guy Smith involved.
It was
Anyway,
a dumb fucking fuck stick.
so we're going down Hanger Straight, and no, with the normal customer care, I'm yelling at the customer, telling him to stay flat, because that's no. At that point, it was like, right, how quickly can we get these? Yeah, don't lift, and stay flat, stay flat, stay flat. So now we're going to outbrake these customers here,
or we're going to have a crash.
So,
I'm not sure which way it's going to end.
We arrive into Stowe. We've gone past the brake board by about 50% of the braking area. And I'm like, when I say brake, you brake as hard as you can. We're up the inside of Guy Smith, who's up the inside of Peter Dumbrek. And there's 3 hands on the steering wheel, and 2 of them are mine, trying to steer this car round Stowe without it running into the other cars that are also trying to get round. I mean, just absolute. No, but no, we'd get out, we'd have a massive laugh about it. The customers were buzzing.
Yeah.
But no, it wasn't coaching. It was instructing. You were telling them.
Yeah, there's a subtle difference. Well, not more than a subtle difference between coaching and instructing. Not everyone bridges that gap. It's like instructing is literally telling, whereas coaching is more asking, isn't it?
Yeah, asking. No, getting them a thought process going. Getting them to understand about what is going on, why certain things happen, whereas instructing is literally do this, do that, do this.
Yeah.
With no explanation about how any of this works.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I remember you used to have some quite good, what we would say, Billy races, right? So Billy race, Billy Bunter, whoever, I'll be the dog one to get in my professional podcast. Who coined the phrase Billy?
Oh, don't know. That was around before.
See, Rob Murphy lays claim to that. Billy Bunter the punter.
Yeah, Billy Bunter punter.
Just like for 20 years, I just kept referring. I still occasionally say Billy. Oh, my Billy did this, as if you own that person. My Billy.
Well, the funny thing is that they own you.
Correct.
They own you for the amount of time that they're in the car. They own you, because what they do, you are going to go with it.
Yeah. And hoping to God that you survive that 20 minutes. I used to use that in the briefing, actually. It's like, yeah, we all want to go fast, but we also want to survive the 20 minutes that we're with you.
Well, if you think back to those days, is that you had a customer come in, you'd have them for 4 laps. You got 4 customers effectively in an hour. So the faster you could get the customers to go, the more opportunity there was for a cup of tea at the end. Because otherwise you were straight into the next hour with no breaks. So if you had
the window was an hour and 10 minutes, wasn't it?
Yeah, or something.
If you could do it in an hour and 5,
you got 5 minutes off, have a little cup of tea.
Yeah.
So there was an incentive to get the customers to go as fast as they possibly could.
Yes.
Well, probably faster than they possibly could.
Yeah.
And that meant that they really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And then you got to have a cup of tea.
Correct. I'll tell you who I learned, or one of the guys who I learned, and you learn from different things from different characters. So you invite the dog in, just to create a bit of carnage. She's just going to keep on barking if we don't. One of the guys who I remember Ian Ashley.
Yes.
Crasher Ashley. What? You're just going to create chaos. Oh, we'll open that up. So I remember him being able to get his customers going really fast, really quickly. And I could never understand it, because he was quite old even back then. I mean, he would, in the late 90s...
What, you mean he hasn't got younger?
I've got no idea if he's still around. I hope he is, because he was a proper character. But what I didn't realise is his background was as helicopter instructor and a pilot. So what he used to do, I was like, you'd go and do these corporate days, and he was just like fucking flat out in every customer. How the fuck does he get every customer going flat out? He said, well, I reduce the number of axes that I give them. What are you talking about? He said, well, I just do the steering. Well, hang on a second. So What does the customer do? Accelerate.
He does the speed.
So no, that's what he said, and the philosophy. I mean, he was barking mad on quite a few things. He'd be changing tyre pressures on latest releases and stuff like that. He's quite into instructing, which was what I thought was a bit dangerous. He used to take things a little bit too far, but there was genius behind the madness. So he said that when you fly a helicopter, there's 4 axes that you control. So you've got your stick, which does your roll, your pitch. And then you've got your pedals on the floor, which does yaw. Yeah. And then you've got your throttle, which does lift. Yeah. So you've got 4 axes to work with. And so if you're a helicopter pilot, you don't give a customer all 4 axes. You give them 1 axis. So that's what I do. I give them the brakes and accelerator. Oh, okay. And it actually worked. It was very clever. But I never had the balls to drive around the whole circuit.
No, I have to say that even now, I rarely will touch the steering wheel. So if I can't explain it, I can't preempt where the steering needs to be. I'll look at myself. I'm very, very rare that I will grab the steering wheel and try and guide someone.
I'll never grab the steering wheel. Sometimes I'll just give it an extra nudge, like that curb. Do you know what I mean? Just give it a little put, and it'll only ever be with like 2 fingers of a palm. It'll just be a little extra put, right, just over there. Do you know what I mean?
The only time I'll grab it is if it's going wrong.
That's way too fucking late, and you've got no chance of saving that.
So
good luck to you anyway.
So I know it's sitting there ready. Doof! Get some opposite lock in that.
to you again. The best thing that was ever invented was when Lexus first came. The first thing I saw it on was a Lexus, was electronic stability program. How amazing was that when it first came out?
I heard about that. I did a job for Porsche. No idea what car it was. I'm going to guess it was a 993.
993? I reckon in 997, because the
996 definitely had it. And I did, it could have been 996. We were down at Thruxton. At that point, Andrew Franklin via Thruxton had the Porsche contract. And he goes, apparently you can't spin these cars. Really. He says, but we're going to go out and we're going to have a little look. And I remember being out the back of Goodwood and just going, right, let's nail the brake pedal in the middle of this corner. And actually, it did a very, very good job. You had to make minimal input relative to what you would have had to do prior.
Yeah.
But it was just like, wow.
That's clever. Yeah. I remember this Lexus like lobbing it into Luffield, trying to get it to spin. And it's just like, turn it in, big lob. Oh, it appears to be pointing in the right direction, and I've done nothing. There's something happened with the brakes. I've not had any what it is. It's some kind of...
You would always have to make some input, wouldn't you? You just have to tell it where to go.
Yeah.
So, and then the car would work out from there. Okay, you're trying to go in that direction.
The most entertaining one is when you've driven a production race car where the electronic stability program hasn't been tweaked to match the dampers and tyres that have been put on that car.
Yeah.
So I had this with a Series 3 Elise, and you had to remember as you're going down the pit lane, I remember this happened at Silverstone, to press and hold the ESC button.
Yeah, to get it off.
To turn it off. And I remember going out, so I'm going, it's the Heritage pits, go out around Cops, turn into Maggotts Beckett's, like turning. So I'm literally like pushing with all of my weight against the steering wheel just to get it into Maggotts, because it's gone on to full spaz mode straight away. Turn, please, turn, please, turn.
On my way here, I went to Alton Park and I was in an E46 BMW that's had a few tweaks. And it's painfully intrusive.
Oh, really?
No, I mean, an E46...
Because it was lower dampers and so
E46 M3 was a great car.
Yeah.
But it ran on tyres from that period.
Yeah.
And when you now run it on a modern tyre with a modern
super
damper...
Stiff. Yeah, and super stiff sidewalls.
The system goes, no, that's not possible, let's try and slow you down. And you're like, what's going on with this?
Yeah.
So, yes, it's just trying to remember to turn it off each time. So... and then rely on the customer not to do anything wrong.
Yes. Yeah, which is not always the most reliable of things to happen.
No. If you don't make mistakes, you're not trying hard enough.
That's
Just
true.
got to
Do
be,
you say that
it's
to
got to
every
be
customer?
relatively small errors. No, big errors result in something going really wrong.
Well, that's really what your job is as an instructor, as a coach, isn't it? To try and avoid. I mean, I don't know about you, but I mean, I had so many, especially in karting, because I didn't have like, and you'll be the same. So none of your family competed, right?
No, and I didn't do karting, so I learned the hard way in Formula First.
Ooh, yeah. So first thing we were discussing this last right? So your first thing that you did was Formula First. So you raced at, you went to Brands to do this competition.
Did Brands Hatch Racing School. Went through Brands Hatch Racing School.
What year was this?
88, I think, but it could be 87. But I'm going to go 80. No, it must have been late 87, early 88.
Right.
Yes, because then I did 4 races in 88 running the car myself.
Right.
And when I
okay.
say running the car myself, that really meant turning up somewhere with it,
Putting petrol in it.
and putting petrol in it, and hoping that which wasn't always the case, tighten the wheel nuts up with a spider spanner thing.
Yeah.
No, torque wrench.
Very
No idea what that is.
Talk it up. Go on, Niels, you can do it.
Yeah, and no idea. Absolutely not a clue.
Yeah.
Just drove it.
Yeah.
So
And then you ended up racing with first time
racing in
How about it?
'89. First time I ever did a full year's racing. So I did 4 races in '88. Then did the whole championship in '89. Finished 4th. Had my first big accident.
Was that Alton? Oh no, wait. Oh, this was at
'89.
Paddock.
Yeah, Paddock rolled
Right.
out the first race. So because I didn't do any karting, my overtaking race skills were not the best.
There's a gap. Do you want one of those?
So no, I'm all right. So my race skills were not the best, and I was struggling to get past a guy called Tim Stafford. Eventually, I pressured him into an error, and he spun.
Right.
But he spun, and I went to the outside, and he rolled back and collected me, and I rolled over into the gravel trap and ended up on top of the tyre wall. I went,
Right.
that bollocks. Or words to that effect. I do remember that as it was going upside down, I stuck my hand out the cockpit to stop
No
the ground
way.
coming towards me.
Yeah, that's what
And
you do.
the,
Natural instinct.
Yeah,
isn't it?
natural, and the I can recommend that that's not the way forward.
Wow.
Because that really hurt.
Did
I was
it?
lucky my fingers didn't go under the roll
Holy
cage.
crap, you were really lucky.
So that the only plus side of that incident was that I bought an Arai helmet, but in my wisdom, had sent it away to Mike Fairholme to get it painted. 'Cause,
Right.
No, I thought that's what you did. And so I was using the other one, the one that I had previously. So that's got some nice battle scars in it. And then it got thrown away for the.
Did it actually scuff the helmet when you went over them?
Oh yeah, because I whacked my head against the ground.
No way. Fucking hell. You were lucky man.
So that was that, and the
Who were the main competitors that year?
James Rhodes won the championship.
Oh, Ratty, did he?
I can't remember who came second. I'm going to guess Tim Stafford.
Tim Stafford.
Simon Harrison, who you'll know.
Yeah.
He was my teammate.
Yeah. You two loved each other, didn't you?
I was the new kid on the block, and he was first time racing's competition winner.
Okay.
So when I was quicker than he was, it created a bit of friction.
As it should do.
Yes, but I'd never been in that scenario of having a teammate, so I was just getting on with what I was getting on with.
Yeah.
And that was it. So it's very difficult to be friends with.
Well, I don't think you should aim to be friends.
With full competitors. No. Look at Lando and Max now, and they're buddies.
No, it's interesting. There's a lot of coverage of. About
I've never been.
Fucking never was. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, So
Don't try and be friends. Just try and fucking beat them. That's anything.
yeah, no, exactly. So no, it wasn't. No, we didn't dislike each other. We just weren't buddies.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a clue what I was doing. So, which probably, wound people up because they would ask, what's the car doing or what am I doing? And I didn't know what they were talking about. No. What's the car doing? Just go around the track. Literally not a...
Yeah.
No idea that
I'm
you
just
could
driving
engineer
as
the
fast
car.
as I can. I'm really focusing on that.
Yes, yeah. And what I'm doing to drive it fast, I don't know either.
I remember you telling me something about car setup. I can't remember when it was you told me this. It was like, in order to know where you want to go, you need to know where you're at.
Yeah, well, you need
You need to know where you're at on the map.
Yeah, because people go, oh, it's understeering. Well, it might be understeering, but that might be what you want. It's understeer relative to what you want or what you don't want.
Yeah.
So when I went to Asia in '95, my team boss, David Saunders, he was the driver the year before, won the championship.
Oh, okay.
So I get in the car and I drive the car. It doesn't really suit me. So we do a couple of races in Indonesia. By the time we get back to Malaysia, we're testing at Shah Alam. I'm leading the championship, but the car's not really suiting me. So we start doing some setup work. And I was like, oh, right, okay, the car. So we do, 2 or 3 days. And in those days, you could, out there, you could test. I remember testing one or turning up one day and driving the car around. Just, I can't remember what I had to do. There was a gearbox or something. Maybe I had a gearbox rebuild. Can you shake it down? And I went out in a t-shirt and a pair of boots and put a helmet on. It was bonkers. I remember
What circuits were out there then?
Shah Alam, Sentul in Indonesia, which is still used for, I think, World Superbike. Bira, Johor Bahru. So it went around a bit.
Sepang wasn't probably.
Sepang wasn't even thought about then.
Right.
So the Shah Alam was a bike track. It ran cars and was running MotoGP, I think, round at that point.
Right.
But the buildings were had big garages, but it was not the best. So anyways, we do this test and we go about 2 seconds under the track record. The car's absolutely brilliant. I said to my boss, you have a go in it, you'll love it now. He said it was the worst car I'd ever driven.
Really?
Yeah. Absolutely hated it, said it understeered like a pig.
That's because you were probably going harder into the corner.
I wanted to trail brake all the way in.
Yeah.
And he wanted to get on the power as soon as he turned in.
Yeah.
And no, I'm thinking the car keeps falling over. And he's there going, how did you get this to turn?
I remember were they running on slicks?
Yeah.
So I remember when we raced Vauxhall Junior and we were running with a family-run team, and I complained all year in '96. We did Class B in '96, and I had no idea at all what we were doing in cars. We were in cars. We were probably not that far away on setup. We were a family-run team, so we didn't have like a very experienced engineer or anything. We just literally basic setup, away you go, and it was Class B, fair enough. But I remember complaining all year about understeer. Just understeering. If I drove that car now, it will oversteer like an absolute pig. I fucking know it will. Because I was carrying no speed into the corners. I was doing the basics well and very smoothly, but I just wasn't loading it up on the front end. I wasn't trail braking. I just didn't know what trail braking was. And it was only when I sat next to Pratty I reckon that would have been about 97, maybe 98, because I remember I was experimenting, because that was the good thing about working at Silverstone, wasn't it? You could experiment.
You'd spend a lot of time in the driving seat.
Yeah, so doing passenger rides and driving different things. You'd drive a Lotus, then you'd drive a Caterham, then you'd drive a 306, and then you might get dragged on to, the rally stage, and then you drive a skid cup. So you're just constantly learning about different dynamics and different things. I remember when we had the 306s on Saloon Experience, out of, I think, 6 or 7 runs, I'd spun on passenger rides on at least we got up to like the fifth run of the day, and 3 out of the 5 sessions I'd had a spin on my my hot ride. And anyway, I had it reported, and Patty go, let me sit next to you, Dunny, and find out what's going on. And so he sits next to me. But to be fair to Pratty, he was bloody good. I said, turning in a bit late, aren't you? I was like, never thought of it. He said, where are you looking when you get to the corner? Just looking in front of me. I had no idea. I never thought about looking into the corner. What kind of am? And so he was then, right, look in, look up. Look in, look up. And he's literally like that, as Pratty still does now. He majors on, and that's what they do at iZone, right? Vision tracker. And I was like, and I found I was racing, it would have been 98, because I was racing in Bark Formula Renault at the time, and I was kind of just got onto a podium. I was running with Richard Shaw and Tom Shepherd. No. You know those guys, Loranco Engineering, GTS Motorsport now. But they remember you, they know you. Okay. So I must have been from Formula 4 days, because I remember mentioning your name to Richard. But I reckon I found half a second from what Pratty was saying, because I was just rolling the speed, trailing it in, because I was basically brake, now turn right, where's the corner? Rather than brake for the corner. Yeah. Which is what you need to be doing, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. No, we're not naturally born to drive cars. Or 99.999% of the population are not designed to drive cars.
Yeah.
And trying to get people who want to drive cars well is no. It's not difficult in terms of the principles, but it's very difficult in terms of trying to overcome the natural instincts which are holding you back all the time.
Yeah.
And there are a number of things that people do that they don't help themselves. So,
what do you mean?
No, I'm going too fast.
Nice ringtone, mate.
It's a very nice ringtone. That's my lovely lady. I'll call her back. There's I'm going too fast into the corner, so therefore I'll come off the gas and the car spun. The reality is that you didn't know the car was going to spin because you only thought you were going too fast.
Yeah.
And yes, that might result in a spin, or much more likely the car to understeer off the road. But the spin, more times than not, is caused by the coming out of the gas.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is...
And that's natural human instinct. No, you say to most people, you're in that scenario, get your feet off the pedals.
When you're doing, let's say, 140 miles an hour, or let's say if it's a slower car, 120 miles an hour. 120 miles an hour feels fast when you're doing 120 miles an hour, particularly when you're heading towards a corner that's got tyres around the outside of it, right?
Yeah, I mean, you anywhere where you're doing that sort of speed, you're in control of... No, you're outside your comfort zone. You're outside your comfort zone at 120, let alone before you try and pinpoint a braking point that's within a few centimetres of... and with the right pressure, and with the right modulation release, and with the right turning point.
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
But it's just an acclimatisation thing. So like when you do a driving experience and you're sharing it with 2 customers, and so you'll do your initial 4 laps with each customer. When you get that customer for the second time, they're always better.
Well, I think anything we do, you've had a bit of time to think about.
Because it's acclimatisation. Yeah. And we had the same thing. We've just been to Disneyland, right? Disney World. By the end of our second week, we were acclimatised to roller coasters.
Okay.
So what felt petrifying on the first week, like Space Mountain, was like, yeah.
To walk in the park.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, I thought it was quicker than that.
Hello.
I'll lift her up. See it. You.
Yes, I know. High fives.
Well, mate, it's about time you...
I'm going to head up the road.
Yeah.
Croft, here we come.
Yeah. Just while we're here, so I don't know. I've got no idea when I'm going to edit this. I'll make this the first one. I've got no idea when I'll do the second one, but I'm just going to keep to it. The whole point of this is just talking to people that I've met and know, and just interesting characters from, I suppose, primarily UK motorsport. Hopefully, we'll speak to some of the characters that have gone overseas and done their thing. And
It'll be good. So next time I'm up, we'll do some more.
yeah, no, it's mega. Instagram. Do you know what your Instagram handle is?
Brian Saunders P1.
Right, Brian Saunders P1, and you teach dynamic driving.
I'm a bit of poacher turned gatekeeper because I do advanced road work as well as doing the track stuff.
How have you got to be a road instructor?
Because I applied myself.
I've seen your fucking Nissan Micra when it's...
Yeah, well, so I might be slightly reformed, and I've come from understanding about what not to do.
What not to do is don't put Woosung Dark Horse tyres on the back of your Nissan Micra.
Absolutely shocking they were. So they made me go and buy tyres.
Yes, but they did last. So what was it? Mike Swims used to say it's got more grip. So it's got the coefficient grip of a ball bearing or something. Very good.
Top man.
All right, pal.
Right.
Thanks for coming.
That's right. Thank you for having me.